How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi. Welcome to another episode of Tier Talk. Guys, last week we did part one of 7 tips that will help staff with interacting with an inmate. If you haven't seen that video, I would advise you go back and watch that video. The link to that video is in the description. For this one, I have 6 more tips that will add to the 7, which gives us a total of 13. And I'm hoping to come up with more because I got to try to get to 31. But granted, these are good tips that will help staff when navigating their interactions through the inmate population. But before I give those 6 tips, I would like to go over my sponsors. My first sponsor is American Military University. If you guys get a chance, please check out American Military University. They're a great online school, very supportive of what we do in corrections, very supportive of what we do here on Tier Talk. So if you guys get a chance, please check out American Military University. We also have my books are on the market. Link to this book, Inmate Manipulation Decoded, is in the description. This book is used for training all across the country. So if you guys haven't gotten it, I would recommend it. Not because I wrote it, but it's just good information there. And again, the link to that is in the description. And we also have my other book, which is Lessons Learned While Working in a Prison, my journey from officer to administration. This book's just got tons of tips, tons of advice. The link to that is also in the description. And guys, we got posters for You're Overly Involved with an Inmate. 18 signs you're overly involved with an inmate. These are actually being used at facilities. They're hanging up in the units and in the lobbies. And if you're interested in getting that poster, you could email the same email I'm about ready to give you here for our online training. So we have training that's available on-demand webinars. We have part 1 of the 5 levels of leadership now available. Let's discover the first level of leadership, which is position. And that's $75 a person. And guys, if you're interested, you just email this email right here. Let me just get rid of that picture. Tier Talk On Demand webinar is now available. Please email nassahs22@gmail.com for more information. And that's the same email you can utilize for those posters. And we also have, this one's coming up soon too, Navigating Your Impact on Rookie Staff. Again, there'll be $75 a person. You just email, make the payment, and then I will send you the link based on what time and date is best available for you. That's the key. All right, guys. So this is 6 more tips for staff when interacting with an inmate. Now, mind you guys, as I said before, I had 7 of them already. That was in the last video we did about a week ago. The link to that video is in the description of this video. So if you guys get a chance, please check that out. I would probably go to that one first, but either way, we're going to keep it moving. First tip is consistency. There's a fine line between being reliably consistent with the inmate population and being outright predictable. For me, the higher level expectations, the expectations that relate to the overall balance of doing my job, routine tours, routine searches, demeanor, overall safety and security, etc., would be provided with the highest level of consistent commitment and effectiveness. However, as for the specifics, as to when it's being done, how it's being done, or in some cases, why it's being done, strategy, tactic, etc., it will vary. I guess the balance between being consistent and being predictable is centered on some level of spontaneity. Yes, I'll be consistent with my efforts and my attitude towards being effective and trustworthy, but not to the point where my every move is predictable by the inmate population. My boy and retired sergeant from the CDCR, Russ Hamilton, says it best. Consistency derives from policy, procedure, law, case law, and professionalism. Predictability, or the lack thereof, derives from strategy or tactics. So that's for consistency. So when dealing with the population, some level of consistency, but not leaning towards predictability. Remember that, because if you're predictable, especially in this profession, that could make you very vulnerable. Simple one here. Don't take it personal. Inmates can be quite disrespectful at times, especially when staff is issuing a directive in which the inmate refuses to accept and ultimately comply. Therefore, correctional staff must be thick-skinned. Staff should never let their professionalism and reason give way to their emotions. Staff's interaction with the inmate population, this very unique dynamic, should never be centered on a win-loss or a heated exchange or us versus them. One thing remains certain: staff can never expect to confidently wield their level of authority over others without having authority over themselves first. Okay, so don't take it personal. I'm sure that's been advice that's been given to people before. Consistency. Let's get to the next one. Here's a unique one. Don't overuse authority. Even though staff hold a position of authority over the inmate population, they should never become complacent in thinking that their position is automatically understood and well received by all. Sadly, there are many staff that run on this assumption. They believe their authority over the inmate population, since it's been given to them from the powers that be, is liked and agreed upon by all. They falsely believe that their authority is something that doesn't need to be earned on a daily basis. For many, they even hide behind their position of authority in their every effort to gain inmate compliance. It becomes their automatic response, even for the trivial and the minute. In essence, yes, staff have a position of authority over the inmate population, but with that said, they should never misuse or overuse it. The more staff find themselves falling on their authority by announcing its presence for each and every encounter, the more it will wear thin and weaken. And I hope that makes sense to many, because I never used my authority as a first resort. Yes, as a rookie, it's different. I'm still utilizing some level of the rules. I got it because, again, I have to lean on something for confidence. But eventually I start to break from that, and I lean on my experience, in which I start utilizing discretion. But having said that, that kind of talks about what we talked about in the last one, when you kind of lead by expectation. Don't get me wrong. You can use the authority when need be. Trust and believe. If you got to play the position, you have to play the position. But don't overuse it, because if you overuse it, it becomes weakened. Trust me. No favors. Staff should never allow themselves to be put in a position where they feel obligated to an inmate, whether it comes across as a favor or an offer by the inmate. The feeling of obligation is centered on what at first seems to be an added effort to help staff, whether it's extra cleaning, protection, lookout, etc. Be advised that added effort is not without cost. The added effort becomes a bartering tool for the inmate to navigate their way into getting the staff member to feel obligated. Basically, I do for you, you do for me. Staff should never fall for this trap. Staff should make it known to the inmate that this is a working relationship, not a reciprocal one. Therefore, this relationship is not and never will be centered on favors or random offers of selective kindness. That feeling of obligation. And trust me, they're quick to use the word favor. So again, don't ever feel that you're obligated to pay back. Never allow an inmate to use that word favor. If you give them a directive, it's a directive. If you give her a directive, it's a directive. All right, two more. Popular versus respect. I remember my supervisor telling me, don't look to be popular, look to be respected. For staff who look to be popular amongst the inmates, they will unconsciously find themselves going to those same inmates looking for permission or approval to perform their duties. Their want to be liked and be popular will supersede their ability to carry out their trusted duties. Therefore, staff should never mix popularity with respect. Easy enough. And the last one, building rapport with a question mark. Building a rapport with an inmate is not an end game in itself. Building a rapport with an inmate should result in actionable information. I have seen many staff get dragged down the wrong path because their effort to build rapport with the inmate population became their end game, their main priority. Don't let building rapport supersede your main effort at building on actionable intelligence and then document and sharing it accordingly. I have seen many questionable actions by corrupted staff who, when asked to defend their actions, stated they were just building a rapport. I just wanted to end this with a great perspective from my friend and retired Sergeant Russ Hamilton. Watch how fast your rapport with an inmate evaporates when you go to hold them accountable. So again, 6 more tips to add to the 7 from the last video. Last video, link to that is in the description. Hope you enjoyed these 6. As always, guys, the show is Tier Talk. If you haven't, please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. Bell's going to notify you every time I post a video. Stay safe.